we all here.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, foreign affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
And I am Anthony Sierra Plus, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. It's Friday, and it is Friday night debate. We want to welcome all our viewers across the world to come and join us to participate in what intends to be a very informative debate. We have all cried for change and change and change, but it's obvious that change in Liberia, for example, has not come. We have heard the name in everyone's mouth, and we are yet to see the change. But for change to come, there has to be a means. There has to be a process. I see my comrade laughing. There is something called democracy. They use a vehicle or a process through which we execute that democracy called elections. All right? And so we change from one government or transition from one government to the other, hoping that when we elect those who profess to have the change to deliver to us, we will get the change. But there are others though say, look, we don't always get the results that we want from this process called election, which is quote unquote qualified to be the peaceful and most glorious way of making changes. So the people are saying, well, we will use other means. Coup d'etat, that's the one people don't like to hear because of the dangers associated with coup d'etat. Coup d'etat is when the military or any military leader decide to pull a group of military personnel together, or the army of that country for that matter, say, look, this president is not delivering the change he promised, so we're going to get you out of the way by using some force. Some coups have been bloodier, being menaced and in violence. And so people don't like it. But the fact also is others have used it in as much as it's distasteful, but then they will come to power, they'll do some good. We want to look at these two processes, one deemed as ugly, but giving us the same change of leadership. At the end of the day, the goal is to deliver the goods to the people. So, does the end justify the means? If a coup is a process called coup, produces a leader, and the leader is delivering the goods, is that something to welcome? Hey, this is a debate, and I want to welcome my comrade Mohammed. He's smiling. He seems to be fired about this one. Comrade, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, I thank you very much, and it's good to be here.
And it's good to have you. I want to hear your thesis, your thesis statement on this topic. I mean, other people don't want to talk about it, but here I focus on Labrador. This is what we do. Anything they don't want to talk about, we will debate it here, and we don't care what others think, because if we don't have these kind of discussions, then we give option to other people to do otherwise. So give me your thesis. What is your opening argument on this very controversial subject, I want to say?
And let me first of all say I like the enthusiasm and the energy you bring to these discussions.
Oh,
it's none since the fall of the Mali Empire.
Oh, never. Never.
So the fiery and then the hard-hitting, hardball stuff. I like that kind of stuff, and you know that. Look, so what we're going through right now in Liberia is a dangerous trend. We're trending towards instability, and we have a driver in the driver's seat, and the passengers are sitting in that seat now, and this driver is veering off the roadway, and he's driving into a ditch. The president is the driver, Richard Cohen and others, who are co-drivers of this this vehicle, and they're not careful. The driver is not careful as well. The driver is speeding in a manner, taking things in a manner that is leading the vehicle down a ditch, I should say. And so the passengers need to do something. What would you do if you are a passenger of a vehicle that's veering off the highway, if you can help it? What do you do if the driver is sleeping behind the wheels? What would you do? Would you sit there and allow that driver to pull that car in a ditch to hurt everybody, potentially kill everybody? No. You take matters into your hands and you let the driver know, hey, my life is valuable. You don't care about your life? I care about mine. Mine is valuable. I want to get home to my family. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're getting this driver to come back on the road. He's driving Liberia into a ditch. That's a lot of metaphor. So what I'm saying here now, for those who have understood, that statement that I just made is that the president we're on the precipice of chaos. You saw that there was a group of young people who were holding up. The group was holding up posters and stuff like that in support of the revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore. And so my understanding now is Captain Traore is very popular in Liberia. And so, Anthony, what does this mean? If I'm a national security advisor to the president, this is a concern for me. If I'm a political advisor to the president, this keeps me up at night. So we will huddle now as a team of advisors to try to analyze what's going on here, because that is a trend that could lead to something. And so I think that a lot of people, you're hearing now, you're beginning to hear from a lot of people that the election the election of 2023, which brought Mr. Barker to the office of the presidency, has not given us the desired result. You're beginning to hear murmurs. People may deny it. There are people in denial. Activists of the party are in denial. Members of the elite, the public sector elite, who are associated with the government are in denial. Those blind loyalists and bootlickers of the status quo are in denial, but it cannot be denied. It has to be told that there are murmurs now of people who are talking about change already. And I'm not talking about change waiting for the next election. And that is a danger. So the president, you heard one of his supporters who said, who is a senator, who was a senator from Bond County, said, if I hear anything, I'm going to cuss them back. Well, I thought he was, I didn't think he was a senator until, someone said, but this is he was a senator. When I saw that, the clip that, came out and said this was a senator from Bond County. So these people are panicking, but they're panicking in the wrong direction. They need to make sure, first of all, that the impasse in the legislature is under control. They need to make sure that governance, where is the Good Governance Commission? They need to make sure that governance is on the right track. They need to make sure that the economy is on track. The wheels of the economy must be moving in the right direction. They need to make sure that those promises that they've made during the electoral process, that those promises are achieved in these next few months and years. If not, especially what's going on now, is going to always give room for doubt. And whenever there's a room for doubt, there are individuals who are talking now about change, and they're not saying, let's wait for the next election. And that is a dangerous thing for Liberia. We've tried military coup before, haven't we? We've gone down that route. For 10 years, we had an autocracy of the military. And that gave us a civil war. Of course, the 1980 events were not the only reason why that coup occurred. The precursors to the coup, there were preludes, there was stuff in the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s that are built up to the coup d'etat. So stuff like this that's happening now, where you have sycophants, bootlickers, and some educated people shamelessly defending the assault on the Constitution, the desecration of the Supreme Court, the assault on the Constitution. Insignificant individuals like Muhammad Ali, insignificant individuals like Richard Cohen, who have not achieved anything in life. Rather, what they've achieved, stolen wealth from the Liberian people, money they've stolen from the Liberian people. That's their only achievement. And these are the people that the president of the Republic of Liberia is listening to. These are the people that the president of the Liberian nation is taking his cue from. But I refuse to believe that this president is dumb. I refuse to believe that he's a frail old man like Kamuzu Banda of Malawi, who was an old dictator and did nothing for his country. So, Anthony, if you will now, here's my yardstick. Do you want to be a Nelson Mandela? Or you want to be a Kamuzu Banda? They're two different people. Do you want to be a Kwame Nkrumah? Do you want to be a Jerry Rawlings? Gamal Abdel Nasser? Ahmed Sekou Toure, those guys. Do you want to be a revolutionary leader? Do you want to develop your country? Do you want that? Or you want to be some old, frail dictator sitting in the executive mansion, doing nothing for your people? What is this going to give you now? So if you have the three branches of government, what good does that do for you if the people of Pudukan don't have motor roads? If the people in parts of Lofa County, where he's from, they don't have motor roads. If people in Sanikoli, if people in Saclapid don't have good drinking water, if people in Tapeta or Zlatan in Grand Jide don't have good drinking water and educational facilities, if River says have their rotten school that made the rounds on our platform, what good does it do for you if you hold on to the three branches of government? It do you no good. It do you no good. So what you're hearing now is people, the chatters now. People are talking. These chatters, historical writings have told us that these chatters preceded the April 12th revolution. These chatters have always been there in the prelude to major events. So I close all my writings now with the words, these few words: God save the Liberian Republic. Please, all of my writings now are dedicated to asking the Creator, the Almighty, the Sovereign Lord of the universe, to save this Republic of Liberia.
Mr. Cherry, is you signing that as you are giving up and you now helpless? Is it now way too early to think that this thing cannot be turned around? It's not late yet. This is just 1 year and counting. So President Waka got a few more years to go, isn't it?
No, what I'm doing here now, I am blowing the alarm. And I'm blowing the alarm. And then the trumpet will come after the alarm. And when the trumpet is blown, it will be too late. So what we're doing now is blowing the alarm. So the alarm has gone off in the building. Take cue from that alarm. Do something. This president is not dumb. This president knows exactly what he's doing. He created this mess.
So if he knows what he's doing, then you shouldn't worry, because it is obvious he's well intentioned, isn't it?
He's well intentioned. He knows exactly what he's doing. But you know what power does to people? Absolute power corrupts his mind. He came in campaigning. Keep in mind now, campaigning on good intentions, but his mind has been corrupted by the absoluteness of that power that he has now. The people around him says, "You are the best thing since 1847." The intellectuals, the pseudo intellectuals out here will say to you, "Oh yeah, but the Supreme Court said there has to be a speaker, but they said quorum. They said quorum, so the president is going to work with quorum. So the president wants his government to function." You have tens of thousands of people who are speaking this kind of stupidity to this man's ears. And this man, so the reason I refuse to do all of this, to say, "Oh, he doesn't know," because if I say to you, Comrade Anthony, that he doesn't know what he's doing, I'm cutting him a slack. I'm not about to cut him a slack. I'm not about to excuse him, to provide him an alibi to get out of jail. He is responsible for this. He must own this. He must do what is required to save his country. Otherwise, the rest of us are going to say, Ellen Johnson knew something about this man that the rest of us didn't know. Ellen Johnson, remember, refused to endorse him in 2016, 2017, something like that, that election, remember? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf refused. He worked with this woman for 12 years, vice president for 12 years. She refused to support him. Rather, she supported the opposition, CDC, which led the CDC to victory. Ellen Johnson's support to the CDC was crucial, financial, and political, because Ellen, say all you want about Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she is a political war horse. She is a
Comrade
classical
Alon's
politician.
last, Walker proved that he could do this thing without Ellen, and he got it.
So he got it, right?
Yeah.
But Ellen did this time around, Ellen didn't support the opposition. You didn't see Ellen vociferously supporting the opposition. She did not go on the opposition side this time. And number two to this is Mr. Prince Johnson was still around. Don't forget, Mr. Johnson, again, who really, election cycle after election cycle, who really tilted Nimba County in whatever direction he wanted to tilt Nimba County. So with Prince Johnson's support, Bwaka was able to win the presidency. Tool support was crucial to Mr. Bwaka. Prince Johnson's support is primarily important in the sense that if Nimba County didn't go his way, Weah became president of the Republic of Liberia. We're talking fewer than 20,000 votes. Fewer than 20,000 votes difference. Number two support to that would have been Ellen's former minister of Finance. Mr. Conner came in late, but his support was very crucial to the administration. So keep in mind now, you said Ellen didn't support him, but you best believe before, and I'm not talking to him about this, but I'm sure, I think that before Amara Conner came in to support him, they must have discussed that at some upper level. Okay, so Ellen didn't, this time around, she didn't go away from him. She didn't support any opposition. So that cleared the way for him. That was number one clearance. Number two was the support of the late Senator Prince Johnson. And then, of course, number three, you add Amara Conner's support to that, bringing all the data and bringing different things, and also securing the votes, making sure that the votes were secure, the ballots were secure, that there was nothing stolen. I'm telling you, fewer than 20,000 votes. Anything could have happened around that time. So those different supports were crucial to him becoming president of Liberia.
So you're not giving now President Walker any credit for the electoral victory that he netted in the last election?
I did. The way I did that is that he resurrected himself. He went for Prince Johnson, despite all of it, to the chagrin of a lot of us. We said, "What are you doing? Why are you piling around with this warlord and all these different things? A man who's before any criminal tribunal will be indicted." Waka didn't listen to anybody. He went for Prince Johnson's support, and Waka he didn't think that Cummings was, he didn't listen to Cummings' camp. So He did a lot of things in the lead up to the election that would have led you to believe that he was on the losing end. But he knew something that a lot of people, I guess, a lot of people didn't know. He resurrected himself. But I will say this to you, Anthony. George Weah hurt himself more. George Weah, you saw what Mr. Weah was doing in 6 years. He was dancing around. He was not serious. Mr. Weah did not apply the necessary seriousness to his job. People don't like that kind of stuff. You're dancing around in the midst of seriousness. You go to the World Cup to watch World Cup soccer. You're there for about 2 months, over a month and a half, about a month and a half, and people are dying at home. So we are, yes, if you will, lost the election more than Boakai won, right? I mean, you can also make that argument where it seemed like he didn't want this thing. But in the final minutes, he started the campaign hard when it was late. So yes, if you will, we can give Boakai those credit. You know, I have given him those credits.
Comrade, are you a fan of the process called election? If you look at what we get out of elections since 2005, we have successive elections that produce presidents. We had Ellen twice, President Weah, and now President Boakai. If you look at what we've gotten so far, what we have hoped for and then gotten, is this process called election, the way to go? Are we getting, our return on this political and democratic investment, called election? Are we getting that?
If you want to be honest, the dividend has been small. What have we gotten out of this? What have we gotten out of this? It's minuscule. The Liberian people have been shortchanged now by this administration. What have we gotten out of this? We've gotten chaos. We've gotten the desecration of the Constitution and the Supreme Court. They're poking their nose at the Supreme Court. They're daring the Supreme Court to come after them. We're in a constitutional crisis right now. And this is the oldest republic in Africa. And this is supposed to be the home of freedom, because that's what Liberia means. This is supposed to be the home of free people. I told you last time, Anthony, some of us, our grandfathers and our parents and grandparents, immigrated to Liberia. I am a progeny of immigrants, if you will, to Liberia, who loved Liberia, who passed on those love to someone like myself. It's why I talk about Liberia in the manner I do. It's because of the love that I have for Liberia, and I don't want to see this driver.
So you love the thing called election, and you are saying it has actually paid off.
Let's correct that. Liberia. I love Liberia.
And the investment that we've been making.
Let's correct that. Liberia. I love Liberia.
Yes, you love Liberia, but you don't love the election process that we use to select our leaders. You don't like it?
This election has not. This election, if you're using this as a matrix to benefit the people of Liberia, it has given us like small. What has it given us? You tell me.
It has given us Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Hold on, comrade.
I'll turn the table.
The elections process gave her Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will come. Unity Party folks will say she resurrected Liberia from the grave. All right. And grew the budget from 80 million to 500 million. She built some roads. She built some institutions like the LSCC, NOCA, and many others. All right. She passed some laws, and then she left and transitioned to President Weah. And now we got President Weah, who having to be an iconic figure globally, who became president and served our country. and will lose an election. And then what did he do? He gave a concession speech and passed the baton over to President Mbaka. And during Weah time, he built some parks, some of which people are using today. He attempted on some roads. He did what he could, and now we have President Weah. From my understanding, he's looking at some roads. He's being able to raise some money here and there, to pave some roads. They will tell you about salaries. These are dividends, isn't it? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf built a ministerial complex through Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, beg for money from the Chinese. We got a little terminal there at RIA. These are dividends. These are the fruits of election. And so tell me, what you mean when you say we got in something definitely minuscule? The University of Liberia will have the Fender campus and all that. So talk to me.
The University of Liberia was built before these guys, right? So let's give credit.
No, I'm talking about the Fender campus was, I think, with the help of the Chinese. I'm not sure it's the Chinese, but we got some help there. And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, during her presidency, we had UNMIL, the United Nations mission in Liberia, that was spending pretty close to a little over $500 million a year.
So while we're at it,
dividend, isn't it?
While we're at it, we must give credit to J.J. Roberts, former President J.J. Roberts, Liberia's first president, who was responsible for the establishment of the now, Liberia College, now University of Liberia. So I would say this, right? Some of the things that you mentioned, you also get them in Burkina Faso right now. There are parks, agriculture now. They're building roads. They're doing a whole lot in Burkina Faso under a government that wasn't elected. So I want you to think about that. In Ghana, the revolutionary leader of Ghana, Jerry Rawlings, came in not elected, cleaned up the mess, and now Ghana is a viable democracy in Africa. Think about that. Rwanda came in, current president of Rwanda came in at the end of a very tragic civil war, a war that many believe took away over 1 million lives. Today, we are running to Rwanda for educational opportunity, for sightseeing and different things of that nature. We're running to Rwanda. Rwanda today is one of the cleanest, Kigali is one of the cleanest cities in the world, never mind Africa. And you have your 178 or 180-year-old country with an 80-plus-year-old man at the helm of the office, and they're doing nothing with it. So I'll turn the tables. I'll turn the table. What have we gotten out of that election? What have we gotten out of successive elections? I won't even make it a Bwaka issue now. Successive election. Ellen Johnson started a process. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf started a process. That process and handover, should I continue with where? With Bwaka. Respect for the rule of law, the administration of justice. Respect those. Respect your institutions. Respect the elections commission. Respect the Supreme Court. Respect those tangible institutions that's going to preserve your democracy. He's not going to mess with the military in the way he's messing with the Supreme Court now. What happened when the military wives got in the street the other day? Didn't he negotiate with them? How is he not? Didn't he respect them? He's not going to mess with the military. But he's messing with the Supreme Court. Why? Because the Supreme Court has no weapons. They don't have armory. They don't have bullets. It must be said, man. We must say the truth. He's desecrating, denigrating the Supreme Court because they have no weapons. But the guys in the barracks have weapons. they'll come after him if he tries dumb.
Is it that you
So
don't care the means through which a leader comes to power, and what you really cared about is what they do when they come to power?
I'm giving you the raw historical data.
Mhm.
I'm sitting here analyzing the practical reality of what is going on. So everyone else can go out there and decipher for yourself. These are the reality,
And I
the
want you to
historical
make these
reality.
realities simple for some people listening to us who may not be understanding your point.
The
You
historical,
have cited Burkina Faso, a
yes,
37-year-old military leader in our
right,
country
right,
who took over the country through military means. Today, as we speak, his name is mentioned in every country on earth, if I'm not mistaken.
right,
All
right,
right.
right.
All right. They just yesterday and then the other day, he was being people stood in solidarity with him. We are hearing about massive development that he's carrying out. He was not elected by his people, he took power militarily. But then he's meeting the needs of the people, roads, agriculture, you name it. All right. And now you mentioned Paul Kagame, who was a military guy too and came to power.
Yes,
And now Kagame has a plant where they are manufacturing cars.
yes, yeah,
So, and I listed to you the things that we've gotten out of this process called election. I'm understanding you to say, look, to hell with election because it has done nothing for us. I don't care whether the person comes in militarily. What I care about is let them get the job done for the people. That's what I'm hearing from you, and you have to clarify yourself here.
yeah. Uh, and Anthony, I'm someone who doesn't hold my tongue. I'm not
And
the
I don't,
kind
I
of,
don't, I don't know you to
yeah,
be that way.
yeah.
That's
I'm
why I
not.
want you to give it to me
I'm
straight.
not. Yeah, I'm not the kind of person. I'm very straightforward and to the point. Uh, I have not come to. I have not come to the conclusion
Mhm.
that a military coup should oust these guys to oust Mr. Boyka tomorrow morning. I have not come to that conclusion. You know why?
No.
As a historian, as someone who think of myself as a specialist on Liberia, believe it or not, I know the devastation that April 12th, the events of April 12th and its aftermath caused us in Liberia. I know that there were things that happened on April 12th, 1980. There were things that happened in 1981, 1982, and 1983, culminating in the so-called, culminating in the Nima raid, culminating in the assault on the university campus, the 1985 aborted revolution by Thomas Kuropa, and the lead up to the Civil War. We saw those things. Even those who weren't around can read the historical records now. Or those who have not seen the authentic history of that moment can wait for us to, when we have released our literature, they're going to see the authentic history of that moment. So those things that happened during that time, we saw what happened. So I'm not at a point right now where I would say, okay, tomorrow morning, I would like a military junta to take Waka and his company out of office because of the desecration of our Constitution. I'm not there yet. They have to do more than what they are doing now for me to come to that conclusion. But you know who's there right now? A
No.
lot of Liberians are there right now. I have heard chatters. People have talked to me. They are there already. There are people there already who are saying these things. I'm just giving you the fact as it is. I'm sitting here giving you these facts. And the other fact I want to give you, Anthony, is that there have been revolutionary leaders. We talked about them now, and it's bear repeating that who've come in unelected who've come in. They got the job done. They said this is nonsense. These bureaucrats will not do if they will not do the job. We're going to do the job. They came in, they did the job. What is wrong with us? Every time we call for democracy, we get people. It can be a young man, it can be an old man like Barkai, but he's going to come in. He's going to trample on the rights of the people. He's going to trample and desecrate the Constitution. He's going to trample and desecrate the Supreme Court. He's going to do those things. This is a man who we are told has 40, 50 years of experience. And yet, he has no experience in putting his country together. He's very divisive. He's leaving us behind. A supporter like myself, he's left me behind. Those he has now are the bootlickers of the status quo, the opportunists who are still waiting for jobs in the public sector because they know no better. What he has now are people like Muhammad Ali who are making millions of dollars off the backs of the taxpayers. So I would tell you this.
I'm not sure.
I would tell
Ali is making millions of dollars. How? I mean,
he's a director of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. Is he accountable to
I don't think he's being paid even $15,000 a month before we even talking about millions.
I will tell you this. These people, all these people, they are stealing they're robbing the Liberian people.
Comrade, there is no evidence to that. Let's leave it there. Let us welcome.
But let me finish this point now.
Please, go ahead.
Finish this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you will, there are a lot of people who are dead now, tonight, tomorrow morning, who are already at the conclusion that we don't need to wait for election. I'm not there yet because I saw the devastating effect of the events of April, the decades, if you will, of what April 12, 1980 gave us. We had a civil war. We saw the decades of the civil war. So we've tried coup d'etat, we've tried civil war, or they've tried. You know, some diabolical people came and said, we have to wipe away all these ethnic, we have to go down the route of ethnic cleansing to get to the presidency. And then we will clean up our country. We'll take our country back. It never worked. It didn't work. So now we go back to democracy. Keep in mind, Liberia has always been, since 1847, it was a democracy. So we go back to democracy and look at what democracy has given us already. A Kamuzu Banda type of dictator. You want to be a Kamuzu Banda or you want to be a Nelson Mandela? I told my relative, finally, I told some people in Guinea when Alpha Conde was doing this nonsense about, the changing the constitution. Some relatives called me. The people are attacking us here. They say, I said, be careful. This old man is leading that country into a ditch. As I'm talking to you now, Alpha Conde was still in office. And I told these people that Alpha Conde was throwing them into chaos and he's going to pay for it. Boy, oh boy, in 2022, that's September morning, those military guys went for him. Take him out.
Thank you, comrade. At this time, we will welcome Dr. Doug. Dr. Doug, welcome to a Friday Night Debate.
Thank you.
All right.
Anthony, Mohammed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Doc.
Yeah, how are you doing?
We also want to welcome Alice Wilson Mama. Alice, welcome. How you doing? Long time no see.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Are you ready to debate?
Of course.
I can see that. Well, today's debate is about looking at the pros and cons of change through elections versus, say, a distasteful process called coup d'etat. As a country, we've seen it. We know how bad it can be, and the consequences can stick around for so long. And so, as a nation, we have chosen democracy for a long time. Like, Mr. Sherry said, Liberia has been a democracy from day one, if you like. From the date of J.J. Roberts. J.J. Roberts got elected multiple times and other elections that follow. And in fact, there were times we're having election every 4 years in Liberia. And the historian here can correct me. At some point, we're having a representative election 2 times every year. Mohammed, is that correct?
Presidential every 2 years.
Every 2 years. Thank you. So Liberia has been a democracy. But we want to focus, since 2025, we've been having elections now, peaceful transfer of power, kudos to Liberia. But the end game of this election is to select leaders who will serve the people and deliver the goods. All right. Have we gotten, the return on our investment? These election processes become very expensive. You talk about the time people put in, the money involved, and the involvement of individual as well. Have we gotten that? Now, if you square that with, say, others who chose the military coup, Tuareg, for example, he has become an iconic superstar, all right, because of what he's doing in Burkina Faso. We can talk about J.J. Rowland, who came through coup and then set Ghana on a path that Ghana is on today. We can talk about Rwanda. Rwanda is on a path, is highly respected. Now, I don't like coup, but if the election we have is not giving us the result, the question is why? Then what do we have to say to people who use military means, to come to power, and they are giving the people what the people actually deserve? So let me start with you, Dr. Duke. And our case study here is Burkina Faso. Is there anything we can learn? Because we are a very long-standing democracy. Is there anything we can learn from Burkina Faso? Is there anything we can learn from Traoré, or he should be learning from us?
Good evening, everyone. Mohammed again, and Alice, good to see you. And thank you for the invitation, Anthony. Mm-hmm. First, I want to make a point about when you say Liberia has always been a democracy. Yes, it's been a democracy, but it was a class democracy. Mm-hmm. Because you had to join that group to be part of the process. Mm-hmm. And Tubman broke that system down once he became president. So there was a semblance of democracy. It was democratic. It was a democratic process, but it was reserved to certain class, and either you opted in somehow or you stay outside. If you're in, okay, you become one of them. You change your name, you become Christian. You go to the society, and you can run. Like many people change their names to join something. So that, I think that democracy, it was not representative of what national, we call democracy really. It was a class democracy in a larger society where everybody was excluded. 95% of the people were excluded. Burkina Faso, we always have this tendency to look outside for people. We admire, Mr. Traoré, we admire Mr. Rawlings and Kagame and Mandela, but we don't create them. The problem is we don't create things. We talk about things, we admire everything that comes from outside, but we don't create anything. Nobody's going to give you a Traoré in Liberia. It doesn't have to be a soldier. It doesn't have to be a civilian. It could be anyone, a leadership. But that leadership has to come in through a process, a trajectory. Last week I was at Liberian Studies Association in Baltimore, right? And George Kier said something. He said, we have electoral democracy because we keep using people to be elected, but the structure of the state has not changed since the beginning. We have not gone in depth to say, what kind of state do we want? And we had a chance to do that in 1980, but we let it go. After the war, we had a chance to do it. Ellen could have started from zero and then say, let's rethink the state, the nature of the state we want. And we have not done that. So if you keep the same bottle, you keep pouring wine in it, it's going to be the same wine. You're not going to change, or you keep pouring water in a piton-lead bath, bottomless pit.
You said something important that I like, that we can create our own Tuareg. And you said we're always looking outside.
Yeah.
We cannot look inside. So
We
are you
never look
suggesting
inside.
that the Tuareg we're talking about, the Roland we talk about, and also the Pocket Gamin that we reference, did those countries create those individuals, or those individuals put themselves forth?
I think the country, the system created them, and then they put themselves forward, and then they got, they took leadership. Once in a while you have those kind of leadership that people pop up, and then you say, "Oh wow, what is this?" And then I don't know how you say, the debate is about the egg and the chicken, which come first. Does the chicken come first or the egg come first? If you don't have an egg, you don't have a chicken. If you have a chicken, but so I can't answer that question really. But what I'm saying, every country has to have its own hero. If you don't have it, then we have a problem. Can you imagine if you ask 99.9% of Liberians who is the best, who you call a hero, national hero, you will not get one answer. You will not get an answer like, oh, Raleigh, oh, Napoleon, oh, George Washington. You will never have that. You go from Matilda Newport to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to Tubman to even Mr. Taylor, who is in jail. We don't have.
I ask you that question. Who is your national hero for Liberia?
Me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I believe that you are a hero. And that what you said is profound. I'm not trying to be funny about this, right? And I believe that we don't recognize our own heroes. I believe that so strongly. I believe that Tipote is one of our heroes. Do we respect him? I don't think we respect him that much. Even now, I believe that Tiawan is one of our heroes. Do we respect him? We don't respect him. This man put himself forth. This man went to almost every hamlet in an election. He didn't hide. He had a broom. And people mock him. There's a guy who was having a show, and I displayed the picture of the LPP ticket, Tiawan Gonglo and my good friend Emmanuel Ure Yakpawulo, in the VAR shirt depicting our national colors. And they had a hat on their head. And the very young man looked at that image, that picture, that ticket. He said they look like clowns. Yeah. Something is wrong with a lot of us. So, Alice, I come to you. Sorry to go to Alice here. Alice, it said that we don't know good leaders. And if we don't know good leaders, what is causing that? Where is that coming from?
Thank you, Sia. Basically, I think what's going on in Liberia is identity problem. Okay. They want to be somebody they are not. And so when they see somebody who is the actual person, they mock them, like you said. So in Liberia, we could have a leader or a national hero, but the very people who could do better would never win any elections. Because first of all, like I said, identity problem is one. Secondly, people are just glued to parties, whether the individuals the parties are putting forward are good or not. Because of the party, they vote for a person. They vote on tribal lines. They vote on, relationships. So they don't really look at the quality of people that they vote for. And as a result of that, we continue to have problems. Because when election is coming and you see all the good people and you think they're going to select somebody who will do something for the country, no. Either they will say, like people tell many times, not because he knows nothing, but people say he's mean. So is he supposed to share money with people? Or what is he supposed to do? I mean, the idea of becoming president is to take your people from poverty, not from your personal money, but things that you're going to do like programs. Like he had the Susuku program that empower women and other citizens. But they're not looking at those things. They're looking at people that will dish money on them. And when these people get to power, they steal the national resources and do nothing. So from J.J. Robert time to this point, there's actually no national leader. People that have been in power, people that you expect to do something, they just do the minimum. So the man who has been in power, Tuareg, just 2 years, if he can do the number of developments that are currently going on in Burkina Faso, why do you think people that have been in power for 10 or 12 years, why they couldn't do anything like that? So it's something that intentionally they want to keep our people in poverty, they want to keep our people illiterate, and they want to keep the whole country backwards.
So
that's the issue.
Yeah, let me come to you, Mr. Sherry. The question here is, could somebody like Touareg have gotten elected? Could he have gotten elected if he had pulled himself off and not used the military means to come to power? Do you think the people of Burkina Faso who have seen him to elect him as a president?
I mean, that is hard for me to answer in the absence of, real data to speak of. First of all, he was unknown, so he would have been an unknown political. If he ran, suppose he ran before the coup d'état.
Yeah.
First of all, he's unknown commodity, politically speaking, and he would have had to sold himself to the country, the entire country, to have a chance. And so there's a lot of people like that who have good intentions politically that are not elected. You just mentioned Tiawan Gonglo, who has very good intentions. Another person is Dr. Henry Boima Fambule. I listened to his speech one time when he was running, I think in 2017. His platform was very impressive. I mean, are we electing people like that? We're not electing people like that, but we're electing thieves. We're electing, bank robbers, with people robbing the bank, with people who are stealing our national resources to build houses overseas, send their girlfriends on big fat vacations and stuff like that. We're electing those people. We're electing people who are disloyal to the Constitution. We're electing people who are disloyal to their own people. They disregard their own people. They don't love their country. So we're electing those people time after time. Some of them, we elect them to go and die in office. We just elected Koga. Koga he's illiterate. He has no agenda. He is just tribalist. So he has just been elected to a 9-year term as a senator. But if you go back to executive for a minute, which is, I think, the core of your question, if you go back to the presidency, no, so maybe he doesn't get elected. But when he comes to power as a military man, he's doing all of these things for his country. He's still riding the same vehicle that he was riding when he took over. So you don't see him, in designer clothes and stuff like that. He is not taking off his military uniform. He cares about his people. But what are we having now in Liberia? We have, the president is going to China, and you have an 80-member delegation. People are going to, tour, the markets in China. They're going to sleep in hotels on the Liberian people taxpayers' money. President's going to Japan. Same thing, same routine. United States, okay? The UN General Assembly coming to address. For what reason this president even needs to travel to address the United Nations General Assembly in 2025, when you can sit in the executive mansion and through over Zoom and address the United Nations General Assembly? What is the reason why you need to travel for that? Save us some money. Save us the headache. First of all, you're delivering a speech I don't even hear. I have to strain my ears to the thing to hear you. What is the point? You're robbing the Liberian people of the resources needed to build that bridge that I always talk about in Wulebo, to build that bridge over that river in Wulebo that I talk about. It's still there. Several decades later, people are still walking in that water. I'm sure a lot of people have drowned in that water too. Okay? These people are heartless. So we need some people with heart. So people are saying now, whether those people with heart who are going to respect us, whether they're in military uniform or they're in civilian uniform, but we need them. So we're on the precipice. If someone like me is telling you now, I'm not there yet. So the next question I will expect from you as the the political powerhouse that you are is, when are you going to get there? And if you ask me that question, I will let you know in due course. I'll let you know in due course. But what I said the other day,
I pray that you don't get there, because it's obvious, given your knowledge of Liberian history. I don't think you want to have that moment. Let me get to Dr. Doug here. Dr. Doug, Dr. Doug, I mean, has anything good come from coup compared to election?
It depends. I mean, it depends where we talk about Ghana, right? We always talk about Ghana. Before Traoré, the most popular Burkinabe was Thomas Sankara. In Mali, you would talk about, another Touré who, overthrew the government of Moussa Traoré after 20 years and then handed over power, went to retirement, and then came back and won elections, and then, he retired. So I think they're successful cases. But then, you got also the Mabutus and the Idi Amins and, Samuel Doe's, so you have that. So it depends on the situation. You can't say, yes, it's good, or no, it's not. We can't. It depends on the situation and the country. And, people say, oh, yeah, we are here for a revolution. And then the only revolution that run is the one that take them to the bank. They don't care. And, oh, Mohammed, you said people who send their girlfriend to buy houses. No, and their girlfriend and their boyfriends too. Don't be sexist.
look, I know that. I know that the Facebook, the people, the feminists are coming after me now.
Yeah. Girlfriend and boyfriend, they buy for all of them.
boyfriends. You're
Yeah,
right.
no, but definitely, I think you can't say it's good or bad. Coup d'etat, it depends how it happens. The way our coup d'etat happened in 1980, I had just returned home. I was so always bragging to my friends, and I said, "Yeah, we never had a coup d'etat. The only country in West Africa." Blah 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 blah. And I get home, 6 o'clock in the morning. This guy comes on the road. And my name is Master Sergeant Samuel Kanyendo. The president has been assassinated. That was his first word, assassinated. They corrected it later on. But he first communicated, he said, the president has been assassinated and the army has taken power. I said, what is happening? And then executions in the name of rampant corruptions. And today we're still asking, what are we doing about corruption? So that's my point. I mean, there's no,
can we say that the outcomes of change through elections have been far better than changes that we've experienced to, say, coup d'etat?
Well, when you talk about elections, we have adopted this democracy back in 1990. That's when, the Francophone countries who were linked to France had these dictators for 30, 40 years, like Houphouët-Boigny, Blaise Compaoré. They say, okay, we're going to do democracy. And it's not something that we grew up with. It's not something that we cultivated from the base. We wrote a constitution based on what people read at Harvard. We read constitution based on what America wrote in that constitution. We read our constitution to say, oh, what is the international standard of doing constitution? What do you need? And the state is trying to copy something that does not exist. So we created a state from the top. France, Belgium, the US, democracy came from the little towns, the villages. We need a sheriff. Why do we need a sheriff? We need a mayor. Why do we need a mayor? We need a judge. Why do we need a judge? And then we need a representative in the capital. How do we elect that person? So it grew from the bottom. We drop democracy on top of the people. That's why it doesn't work. We drop democracy on top of the people. Up to now, how many people can read a Liberian constitution in the villages? How many? Mohammed, you go to a place that you say, hey, let's talk about the constitution. How How many people can read it?
Not
Huh?
many. Not many.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Do. Thank you, Dr. Do. You know, this is an interesting topic because so someone gets to power through a military coup. If they want to do good for their people, nothing stops them. The same way with someone getting elected, getting the will of the people through a democratic process or through an election, nothing stops them from doing good. One can choose to not do good, maybe because they don't know the know-how. Maybe they get consumed by power until they become selfish, they focus on themselves. And so the process, what is true, one can argue that this is the best process because you have the people participation, unlike the coup where the individual comes and impose themselves on the people. The question here is, Alex, does the end justify the means here? In the case where someone comes through coup and is doing well, the case of Tuareg, this young man has been celebrated in the world. I'm not talking about Africa alone.
Yeah.
So it's like people want the job to be done now because we have election over and over. We've not seen anything much. So they don't care about how Tuareg get to power. And they just want to see that the job is being done here. Does the end justify the means?
Well, like I said earlier, sometimes elections might not get people that's supposed to do well to power. So, for instance, you don't have the resources, you don't have the popularity, you don't have the technical know-how, like, going to the villages and maybe talking to people individually because you have to introduce yourself and they don't know you. You don't have any relative. You don't have any families. You don't belong to a specific tribe. And so therefore they will not elect you. So for Coup, he got to power. He didn't have to go run campaign. He didn't have to make himself known to people. He didn't have to dish out money to anybody. He got to power. And the good thing is he is a patriot. So being a patriot is number one thing that will make a leader to have his own country at heart and do well for his people. You look at the videos. He even making electric vehicles in his country. Look at food. This is a country that was basically begging to survive. Liberia was doing way better than Burkina Faso. But today, this is a man who got to power through coup and see what he's doing. So yes, the end justifies the means. Because the man, if he was waiting for election, he wouldn't have done what he's doing for his people. For decades, they've been having from president to president. Sankara came, he did great. Terry Rawlings came in his own country, he did better. Kigame, doing better. So what can we say? The man got to power. He is a patriot. He's doing better. That is our focus. And I think if anybody has the opportunity to, get to power any kind of way and they know they love their people, I'm not advocating for coup, but if they having to get to power and they're doing well, I think we should embrace them.
And comrade, is there a danger?
You said it,
that to do? Is there any danger associated with, recognizing the development efforts of Tuareg? The way he's making strive to bring development to a people. Is there anything, is there a danger associated with welcoming him, standing in solidarity with him, praising him for the good thing he's done? Is there a danger in that?
Right. I mean, he's doing what his people would expect him to do. He came to for his people. If he were not doing good for his people, we wouldn't talk about him. We are talking about him because he's doing what he's doing at home, not because he's going flying to go to a press conference in Paris and go to Japan and make to a big dinner and go to Washington and shake Trump's hand and then make a big speech. No, he doesn't go anywhere. He stays home He went to Moscow and he went to Ghana. So he spent his time, he said, I'm not going anywhere, I'm here. This is another Sankara. So praising him would not diminish us. It will only tell the world that, yeah, we know how to recognize a hero. So I have no problem saying, yes, he's doing good. As long as he's doing good with the Burkinabes and they're praising him, they want to support him. Hey, that's what we want from the leaders. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, it's not a democracy. What democracy brought to us? Since we became democratic in Africa, the continent went back. Look at ECOWAS. Everybody in ECOWAS was, when ECOWAS was founded in Mali in 1975, everybody was a general except Abdou Diouf of Senegal and what's his name? No, not Abdou Diouf, Senghor of Senegal and Houphouët-Boigny of Ivory Coast. Everybody else was a general. They created that thing. They put a password to. They knew what to do. They knew what they wanted to do, and all the ideas came together. Who is breaking down the system now? ECOWAS, the so-called Democrats. They don't know how to control anything because they're little bureaucrats. Most of them are petty bureaucrats who go through party lines and through association with tribal leaders and this and that religious factors. They become what we have.
So in other words, those of us who subscribe to election democracy, we are not in no moral place to condemn Tuareg.
No, you can't, because you're not doing any better than him.
You're not doing better.
If you were doing better in your country, then you can say, yeah, no, Tuareg, come learn from us. This is how we do it. You think Tuareg got time to sit down in Ouagadougou for 9 months to find out who's going to be the speaker to pass his budget?
Right. So worldwide.
So Comrade, I have a question for you. Yeah. So we've been having elections 2005, and then fast forward 2011, and then we came to what was it, 2017, I believe, and now 2023, and we transfer power peacefully now, and you will agree with me. I'm not sure you're happy with what we gotten. So going forward, we the hope now is put on 2029, and the candidates we're going to get. We're going to get good candidates, but who the people are going to see as their candidates.
Yeah.
Is there vicious cycle now, and hoping hopelessly over and over? Is the way to go here?
We're doing the same things over and over and again, and somehow, some way, hoping to get a better result. You're not going to get anything better than this. Nothing is going to be better. You mean nothing better than Tuareg? I'm talking about, you asked about Liberia. You said, 2029. So I'm giving you the strict answer about Liberia, before we migrate from that subject. So, you're not going to get anything better. So we're waiting now for 2029. Everybody all of the maneuvers are going on. The vice president is already in campaign mode. He's going to tell you, no, I'm not doing this, but he's already in campaign mode. He's hearing the chatters. People are saying, we're ready. We're here, Mr. Vice President, when you're ready. And you're going to say, no. We're not thinking about that yet, but he's thinking about it now. He has thought about it. Koga went to Nimba County and said, if you don't vote for me 2029, we will fight. These guys, for them, the thing they know, the language they know, is fighting, right? I don't know what kind of fighting he was talking about. The journalist didn't ask him to clarify. No one cared about what he was talking about. But anyway, we moved on. So the vice president, his candidate for senator for Nimba County, was making some crude, very ominous remarks about the outcome of that election. So 2029, if you will, is going to come in now. We're going to go into 2029 hoping to get change. You know who the leading candidates are right now. George Weah is a leading candidate for 2029. Coup, Jeremiah Count is a leading candidate for 2029. There will be other candidates who will also be very significant in 2029. I don't know if they get a chance to go in the top tier. I don't know that yet. Well, it's a long way to go. But the change that you and I expect, You're going to have, a president who's going to come in, hit the ground running, develop your country, so that your country look at least like Ghana, so that our people can stop going to the hospitals in Ghana. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. And so there is, if you will, an appetite now among people. So the chatters you hear is genuine among people saying, we're tired with this. This is not making any sense. If the trajectory in Burkina Faso stay this way for another 2 years, watch out. Watch out. If another 2 years of this continues in Burkina Faso, by the way, Burkina Faso, who's the territory, parts of northern Burkina Faso that has been unjustly attacked by jihadists, rebels, people who are just, killing people for no reason. The country has that challenge on their hand, and despite that, the president is performing miraculously, within the milieu of the West African community, within the milieu of these corrupt bureaucrats who said they were elected by the people. So, like Dr. Douglas said, he doesn't care about who's the speaker tomorrow morning. He doesn't care about, I have to go to Japan now. We're going to sign contract. He doesn't care about that. He's doing for his people what hasn't been done by the corrupt bureaucrats. Meanwhile, back home at home in Liberia, which is the focus of our discussion right now, you have these bureaucrats walking around, okay, to the chagrin of the rest of us who love the country. You have bureaucrats who don't love their country, unpatriotic people, bootlickers of the status quo, corrupt, public fund. They're robbing us of these public funds, and they're sitting in these big offices, big chairs. Have you ever seen the speaker's chair? It's so big. It's quite bigger than the chair I'm sitting on now. What's wrong with us? You're a tiny little man, and you're sitting in this big fat chair, and and it has all these emblems behind him. What is all this about? This costs tens of thousands of dollars, and meanwhile, the school in Riverside has nothing.
It has no chair.
The school has no, but that chair that the speaker sits on, or the Senate pro temp, the president of the Senate pro temp is sitting on, those two chairs can build 3 schools in Riverside. And yet the Liberian people are not outraged by this nonsense. We should be outraged. And these people, and like I told you on the other show, right now with this desecration of the Constitution, that should be a bridge going too far. And the people, the Liberian people, should march. They should march from Kipamos to Sanikoli, to Banga, to Kakatad, all the way to Monrovia, and the people, and they just join the people in Monserrado to take these guys out. A movement of civilians must come in and say, this is what we're going to do. And you're going to move, or we're going to remove you. And that is my prescription for how you take your country back.
Thank you, Comrade. And Alice, this is Tuareg. He didn't make promises to the people. Now you have a politician in Liberia who is our president, and other African countries the same thing, who campaign, who made promises to the people, and they got to power. They are looking for money in other people's country. You have Tuareg right there in Burkina Faso. He's not taking a foreign penny.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making it happen for his people. I was listening to the Ministry of Information press conference, and one of the ministers there was talking about the spring meeting in Washington, D.C., how the government, and now they're talking about 490 million, and that was the government achievement. I was just there scratching. I mean,
more debt.
You have a 37-year-old military guy who did not make any promise to his people. He came to power. He said, look, money right here in this country. I'm going to find the money in this country, and I'm going to use the money, though I didn't make any promises to anybody, but I'm going to develop my country. My people deserve better, and he's doing it. So my question is, what when do we get our own Tuareg? I'm even finding it difficult to get my own question because I don't know.
Yeah.
How is this young man doing it? And we have people in Liberia, they're not doing it. Why?
Yeah. So this is the issue we have. The problem in Liberia is if the Christmas is going to be good, you can tell from the Christmas Eve. So you have people coming to power, and as soon as they take state power, the first thing that comes to their mind is not the people that put them in the chair. They are breaking their old houses down to build new ones. The wives are buying modern bags. They're doing the latest hair. But look at Tuareg's wife hair, natural hair. Natural. I mean, her clothes are just so simple, very nice. And that's the kind of person that we need. People that are not materialistic. We got the resources in Liberia, not that we don't have anything. Nobody is poor. And when the president of the United States say, "S whole country," they should be embarrassed, but they are still coming begging. All right? They sent your people back. Go and do something for your people. Then they say they upset. Why must you be upset? If you are doing something good for your country, you will get a respect. If Tuareg wants to come here now to have conversation with people in the White House, they will give him red carpet because they know what he's capable of doing. But when they know you begging, you come here, they're not going to invite you in the White House because they don't want beggars. And we're still not getting the message. We sit down on money, it's going to individual pockets. They got little gold mines all over the country. But as soon something come out of that, it's not coming to the people that are in the villages. I saw many videos where the people polluting the water, they destroying the forest and the villages, but they're not getting a penny. They gave one other village, they give them 20,000 Liberian dollars. That is less than $100 US. And you have representatives and senators from those areas not seeing anything. Who does that to the people? But meanwhile, some of them wearing the latest gold chain, finger rings, just, like luxury. Most of the things in Liberia, like some of the resources, there was another video where the black sand, they're mining the black sand, shipping it out of the country. Don't the government see that? So
Alice,
this is the problem we have.
Alice, Dr. Duke, you are a writer, you are a reader, you've been around. It said that in the past, we don't have leaders that current leaders can emulate. Is that the reason? Because if you look at Tuareg right now, I read about Sankara. He was young like Tuareg. He came to power. He was a military guy. This guy, he rode the very car that he grabbed when he came to power, and that's what he was using. All right? And he did a lot of good in a relatively short time. This guy was transformative. If you look at what Tuareg is doing, this is basically, this guy is walking in the footsteps of Sankara. It's said that we don't have anybody like that who held power in Liberia before that current leaders can look up to, even our senators and representatives. Even if we don't have people, do they not read? Do they not know about other leaders? Is it that they don't have, people in whose footsteps they can walk? Or is it just that they don't know what to do? Or is it just pure weakness? What is it?
I think there's a issue of culture. And also, remember, I asked the question, if you were to ask Liberians, who is your national hero? Everybody will come from somebody, No, but nobody will say, oh, Joseph J.K. Roberts was the best person because he had that idea to create the University of Liberia, became president, Nobody was a top man, 27-year president, and corrupt the country. They, broke down the democratic system and put the country into that path that led to, Talbot and then etc. the coup. So we don't have a hero because they have nobody to emulate. You don't have anybody to look up to. You have, Tipote, who people say, okay, as we had some heroes in the 1970s, but even them, they were short-lived. The record is like, okay, they were thinking right, but when they had a chance to do something, but they never had a real chance to run the political system. So we don't have anything. So we have 200 years without a memory. We don't have a collective memory that we can say, this is what we owe. The only collective memory we have, one side, we've been exploited, enslaved, everything. And then on the other side, well, they blame us, but we created a country. So you got this big, big gap between the two groups. And that mentality is still there. Nobody remembers Congo president, but we remember Talbot, we remember Doe, we remember that, but we don't remember anybody before Talbot. Because nobody did anything that we can say, oh, wow, this is from this guy or that woman.
But that the war has evolved now. YouTube, you can learn a lot. Watching TV, you can learn a lot. Listening to Focus on Liberia, you can learn a lot. Do we now have a visionary? Are we ever going to get a visionary leader? If we don't have good examples that current leaders can emulate, oh, I want to be like this guy who was president in Liberia. But I can argue we have good people who stood for something. I won't post stood for justice.
Yeah.
Justice is everything, economic justice. If you are a president, why would you want to buy a bulletproof car when we have a school in Riverside that does not have a chair? Why would you want to buy a bulletproof car? All right. Why would you want to do that? This is a school in Riverside, and you are a president, and you've been hearing about the situation of schools in Riverside, and you become president, and then now you're buying a bulletproof car, you're buying a car worth over $500,000. I mean,
Anthony,
what is that?
Let me, talking about that bulletproof car, I mean, it's okay. They say, okay, we had a war, you got a lot of crazy people who got guns, but I remember 1992. We went to Geneva for the peace process, and Wilfred Boigny, Senghor, and Abdou Diouf were talking. Amos and Taylor were sitting there, and they asked Taylor, "What do you need to start disarmament process and join the government?" This discussion. He said he won 1,000 soldiers from Senegal. He won this, he won that, and Wilfred said, "Do you know a guy? You remember you were in America?" Taylor said, "Yes." He said, "You remember the man called John Kennedy?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know what? You know how he was protected? CIA, FBI, this and that, 10 different levels of security around that man. You know how he died? So your protection is not the soldiers. Your protection is your neighbor and your people. You do good by your people, they'll protect you. Yeah. They want to keep you alive. Yeah. But you do bad, no gun can protect you. Okay, you want 1,000 Senegalese? We'll send you 1,000 Senegalese and we'll see what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Alice?
Well, so I think the people are also responsible. They are passive, relaxed, not motivated to do anything. And they feel comfortable in their situation. All right? So if the leaders are not doing it, what happened to the people? Why is everybody passive? You elect somebody, you're not holding their feet to the fire. What they promise you, they're not doing it. You see them, improving their own life, and your life is going down. And your kids are sitting down on the floor in the rain because the schoolhouse is leaking. And nobody says anything. And they go and elect the same people. So then you have a problem. Because if you show to the people that you are not crazy, you know what you're doing, they will come to their senses. Yesterday was a worldwide protest. Did you ever see any protests in Liberia?
We're not part of the world labor movement.
So Alex, you're making a good point here. So if the people are part of the problem, and the change, should the change come from them?
Oh, yes. If the leader is not making a change, the people have to stand up for themselves. You have to demand a change.
So I saw banners being printed. There's a group in Liberia too that were trying to organize the solidarity rally in support of Tuareg. All right, I don't know if that happened, but I've seen pictures of that. I read about it, that they planning it. I know the government said, hey, I don't think you want to do that. We don't want to. The government is giving a warning to them for planning to do so, right? So it means that the Liberian people actually want good thing, isn't it? Because they see Tuareg doing good, they want to stand in solidarity with him.
Well, but the thing is,
don't you think that is a responsible way of telling their leaders you need to do better, and you think that is not enough?
Well, that you see them actually march. That's the question I'm asking. See somebody with banner and people warning them not to do it. This is your right to protest. I mean, not protest, but solidarity march.
The students on the campuses of the University of Liberia, they will say the students have been protesting consistently. Even during we are time, we had protests. President Bouaka time, we had protests. So there are Liberians that have been speaking out like, look, you're not serving well.
Yeah, but
Liberians are talking. We are talking on this platform right now, telling our leaders, Tuareg is doing it. He's not getting money from America or anywhere else. He's getting money from the country. You can do it, do it. We have been saying something. How much do you want the people to do before the leaders can act?
Well, the University of Liberia has always championed the causes of Liberia, but the University of Liberia is not a only university. It's not a only sector of Liberia that's supposed to march. We got a civil servants. We got other, public corporations and different group of Liberians from all walks of life that can stand up for their country. Do you see that? Do you see them doing that? Nobody is doing that. Somebody arrests something where somebody said, but they didn't ask us to march with them. Do they have to ask you when your neighbor's house is on fire as a responsible citizen? Does somebody have to ask you? Nobody has to ask you. That's the right thing to do, put the fire off. When we had a war going on in Liberia, and we had the Guineans, the Senegalese army, the Sierra Leoneans, Nigerians, Burkina Faso people. These are the people that came to our aid. We didn't have to call for them. And you sitting down, somebody is doing good, and he's being, told to be assassinated, and you are not standing up to say anything because he didn't ask for that. Doesn't make any sense.
And Comrade Sharif, I think Ali is saying, look, if the Liberian people who really need this change, they won't really demand it and, coming to protest, stood out on the University of Liberia campus. That is not protest. That is not enough. I mean, reading from what I'm hearing from her, she's talking about when the Egyptians went to the town square for about weeks and months, and they stayed there. They gather every day until Mubarak stepped out. And they wanted answers, and they got the answers before they could leave the town square. So Allah is saying, look, you see what is happening at the legislature. See the chaos that we have on our hands. And these guys have been paid.
Right.
Yeah. So
you elected them.
Right.
And they have bannered you. They're in RJ Hotel. They've been taken care of.
Right.
Reportedly by the executive.
Right.
And you are there. You are passive. Are we so passive to our own detriment? It's like, is it that the Liberian people, the solution to our leaders' failure to deliver for us, is that the solution?
And what Alice is actually saying there is congruent with Article 1 of the Constitution. Every government is instituted to respond to the needs of its people. And the Liberian Constitution, Article 1 is no different. Article 1 specifically talk about that. And Article 1 also give us the right to alter that government if the government does not do what it's supposed to do. So all powers is inherent in the people. So yes, if you will, the people can gather, and I have said that all along. The people need to gather. They need to ask these critical questions. They need to go out there. They need to go to Capitol building. They need to go to the executive mansion. They need to do what is necessary to take their country back. They need to do that. They're doing it peacefully. But what's going to happen is the executive leadership has the police, and they have a brutal police force. These guys have weapons. They have the military right now still to their side, right? We don't know. Maybe all that's going to change later, but they still have the military to count on. What I do know is right now they have the police on their side. The leadership of the police is well paid, so they're very loyal to the regime. But all that can change quickly and will dissipate when the people show up. It happened in Tahrir Square, what you're talking about. You're referencing the Arab Spring. When the people woke up and a dictatorship was dethroned. In Tunisia as well, this happened in Tunisia. The last of the Arab Spring, we just saw that the Assad dynasty was toppled just a few months ago, and all of that started with the Arab Spring that you just mentioned. So the Liberian people can do something similar if the government would not respond to their basic needs. I mean, we're talking basic needs. What do you see in Liberia? Look, when we were talking about Burkina Faso, I was shaking my head. When you were asking these questions about Burkina Faso, I was shaking my head. Because look, this is a landlocked country. It doesn't have access to the sea. Liberia does. Liberia has all these coastal areas. Greenville, your hometown. You're a seacoast guy, Anthony. Cape Palmers, Buchanan, Robert Sport. You mean to tell me that this country can generate enough revenue from there and stop begging from foreign countries, and stop begging from Israel, and stop begging from China, and stop begging from India? We borrow and beg from everybody and do nothing with it. Anthony,
and now our leaders are trying to beg from Tuareg, their own son.
I've seen
a delegation of the Liberian government in Burkina Faso meeting Tuareg.
We don't borrow good money. We borrow 10 million, 20 million, 5 million, 10 million, and we're going to say, yeah, we got some money.
Right, and we borrow money, like I always say. We borrow this money to pay ourselves. We borrow this money.
It's a pocket change.
It's a pocket change. You don't even borrow the good loans. But again, Alice says something. You don't need to even borrow money. You are wealthy enough. The problem you have is massive mismanagement, lack of know-how, lack of political will, corruption, greed, bad governance. That's what's going on. Liberia, if you will, Anthony, is one of the wealthiest countries in the region.
Yeah.
It's very wealthy. Let them not lie to you, because they're all liars. When they come over here, they lie. Oh, yeah, we're struggling because of something. No, you're not struggling. You're struggling because you're stealing all the money. You're stealing from your piggy bank. Okay, they have a piggy bank that they steal from too. Okay, you steal all of this. You steal from the companies that come in to invest. Mm-hmm. You steal from everybody. And then now you're going to go borrow money. You go to Morocco. Oh, we're going to, your people get sick. They go to Morocco. The wealthy ones go to Rabat or Marrakech somewhere. And the other people, go to Ghana. They go to Accra to go to hospital. Some people now go to Zurich to go to hospital.
Oh my God.
Okay. People, so your people cannot go to hospital in your own country, okay, because you claim that you have no money, you have no resources, but the public servants are the wealthiest, tens of millions of dollars. These guys are wealthy, very super wealthy, and meanwhile, the people you just showed that school in Riverside that has been making the rounds on our show. Look at that. The president, the
Yeah, but
people who are
you have
watching.
to go inside. You have to go inside to see what it
Shame.
is.
It's a shame on people who are watching and don't do anything. If I'm president and I watch this show and I see, if I'm a minister, let's just bring it down. If I'm a minister of education, deputy minister, assistant minister, something in the ministry of education, I bring this to my minister and say, sir, have you seen this? I was watching a show called Focus on Liberia, and they have this, can we visit this school? Can we do something about this school? Just money from your own damn pocket. Just feel sorry for those kids.
And it's so mean.
They're so mean. They're so mean. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. This has been sitting there because I remember the first time you put this up. This is like a year ago, 2 years. I think it's about a year ago.
Yeah, I've been showing the image since we have time.
Yes.
We had the image when McGill built this for his dead mother. When McGill built this, and he was Minister of Presidential Affairs, and we did not fire him.
Yes. Yeah.
We couldn't fire him.
Now he's in charge of education. Maybe he'll put money into that.
Yeah. So you're talking about a landlocked country now, to conclude, a landlocked country in Burkina Faso that we're talking about here. So that tells us that it doesn't matter where your country is located. It doesn't matter what your conditions are. It matters. The political will matters. It matters that the people love their country. It matters that the people are knowledgeable enough. They love to develop. And they have that revolutionary fervor to do something. Toba came close. An example is when he visited Richard Nixon, I believe in 74, 70, I think it was 73, when he visited Nixon. He told Nixon that, Mr. President, I'm not here to ask you for weapons. Something, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not here to ask you for weapons to build my military. We're not at war. I'm here so that we can collaborate, so that I can fight. There's something going on in my country. The illiteracy rate in my country, I'm so concerned about that. I am trying to fight illiteracy because when I develop my people this way, it's better. That is better than me coming asking for weapons and all of that. That meeting has been declassified. It's somewhere, and it's a telling example of what some of these guys, a guy like Tolbert, was thinking. Can you imagine Boyka coming to meet President Trump? Oh my God! Oh, Mr. President, can you give me $10 million so I can, go build a bridge?
And the thing is, if you want to borrow money, you want to loan, you come to country like America, tell them to say, look, we need maybe $100 billion, to build Liberia. Can you give that to us? That's what we need. And yet it's how we're going to pay back. But that's why another day.
Or you can say, let's collaborate. Let's collaborate. Let's collaborate. Let's collaborate. That's all it is. But you don't have to ask for handouts.
Yeah, I mean, no, a loan is not a handout. I've taken loan to get a house as I'm living in. I'm paying for it, right? And so even the worst, America has taken money from other people to do some things. Businesses, even rich people can take loan. Loan, there's nothing wrong with that. But how prepared are you to take the loan? What are you going to do with that loan?
Yeah.
Is that loan going to give you what you want? And so that is the thing. Well, time is fast spent. Dr. Doug.
Yeah.
Let's talk about solution to this problem here. We can't just be having election, and then the people crying. It's too much. We've been around for far too long now. We have too many elections. We've elected poor leaders. When I'm talking about poor, people who are mentally poor. When it comes to development, they are poor in their mind. They are weak-minded. They don't know what to do to transform a 37-year-old a president is working wonders. Paul Kagame is doing it in Rwanda. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf couldn't do it for us. George Weah did not do it, and Bouaka is not doing it.
And I think in Niger, right? The lady, she's doing great.
Yeah, the Niger guy, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, so tell us, what is the solution now? Is the solution still election or what?
No, I don't think election will just bring you another group of people to come and fill the package, maintain the study quo to allow the exploitation by the international corporations. That's what happens. So you got those three people. One to keep themselves rich. You come in, you bring your friends, your cousins, your nephews, and everybody else. And then you make sure the companies that are working, making enough money to pay you, to bribe you, are operating peacefully. And the third group is, project an image to the international community and say, we're doing good. I think the problem is vision. When you think about it, up to, you talk about Talbot, Mohammed, up to 1980, there was one group of people who had a vision for Liberia. People who came from the US and said, we're going to create a homeland for ourselves and all the slaves and blah, 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 blah. That was the vision. But 1980 took that vision away. And since then, we never actually sat down to say, what is Liberia? We never had a national conference to discuss these issues. We never had a real meeting. Every meeting we had was about who's going to get power, who's going to give power. It's been that. And then we go from election to elections. We're not changing anything. You're going to bring another group in. Even if you put Tier 1 there, it's going to be the same thing. Like Mabutu said, if you brought the Queen of England to Zaire, she'll be corrupt. And you took him to London, he'll be the cleanest guy. It's the system that breeds you, the system that breeds you. Since 1980, we have not had one moment to sit down and say, what is Liberia? Where are we taking Liberia? We just crafted instruments of domination.
Don't you think the TRC process?
But the TRC was about a war.
I've read the document. You read the document. That document detail the root causes of what got us to conflict. So any visionary leader can read that document and look at the reasons we went to war. All right, and put a team together to arrive at, aren't these politicians and political parties coming with their plans to make Liberia better? Do we need a national conference? Have we not?
I'm not talking about, when I say about the national conference, I'm talking about people who want to think about where do we want to take this country. The TRC was, a silo. It was like people doing something in a silo and say, okay, we're going to do this. They did an investigation. They say, okay, this is what we all know where the conflict came from. It was deep-seated anger. People were angry. They were angry at the system. They were angry at anybody.
I'm not cutting you off. If you look at Rwanda, they had their own bloodshed, and they had a process there. And after that process, the leader that took over, look at the records, and then he's governing the country. So we just need a leader with that vision, like you said, and the political will and the know-how to develop the country.
All we have recipes for packet developments. We want to build roads. We're going to do this. We're going to build 2 hospitals. We're going to create, but there's no bigger vision where you want to take the country. That's what is lacking. If you don't have that, it's like if you don't shoot for the moon, you never get off the ground.
So what stopped Ellen Johnson?
Because we don't, but
to look for the best and the brightest of Liberia and say, look, this is this amount of money. We give you a year or two, develop a national development agenda for the country that the legislature will vote on. Make sure you assign a budget to it and tell us how we'll raise the money and tell us how long it would take. And then this become our development Bible. Ellen didn't do it. We didn't do it. What is stopping The
Because there's
wise
no
woman we have as
vision. There
president
was
for
no vision
making
behind
that
it.
to happen.
There was no vision. It was just recipes. It's like somebody giving you a recipe for food, onion, tomato, garlic, and salt, and this and that. And you say, okay, maybe if you mix all of them, you're going to get a soup. Yes. But what's the end? Is it to feed the people? Is it to taste it? Is it to make yourself a good look and say, oh, I'm a good cook? There's no vision. Kagame had a vision for Rwanda. He wanted to transform Rwanda into a non-ethnic society. In a democracy, if he's the one who holds the purse of the democracy, but he had that vision.
Dr. Good, our people had the vision to survive. So in the old days, with just spears, they could hunt and they could kill lions. They could kill groundhog. All right. They could kill bush cow to get meat to eat. They had little, but they had ambition. You know what I'm saying? They knew that they had their children and their wives to feed with meat. And so they went all out with the little they had. So
that's
the whole thing about plan is all good. I don't know what kind of plan Tuareg is working.
No, I think that's survival. You're talking about survival. Survival is not a vision. Liberia has been surviving. People have been surviving, and we're like frogs in a lukewarm water. We get adjusted to it, and then we're going to die without knowing that water got too hot.
All
so
right.
we get, people. You're talking about, somebody was talking. I think it was Alice. That people don't. Why they don't get up? If you never had it, you don't miss it. If you never had electricity 24 hours a day, that you walk in a house, you don't think about it, you just flick the light on. You don't have it. You never got a bathroom with flushing water. 2 years ago, people were talking about how the place at the Capitol was smelling so bad. Yeah, I said you elect a bunch of people who lived in the bush, and then they came to the city. They don't care about toilet. That's not their first priority. So if you don't have that, if you don't know what it is to have a good school,
so that I'm giving you a lot of pushes here. We have to go. What is the solution?
Okay. I'm going to quit.
What is the solution going forward? In few words, what is the solution going forward?
Me?
Is the solution coup d'etat so that we can have our own Tuareg, or another election to have another Bwaka, or Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and we'll come back to crying again? What is the solution?
No, the solution is to have a group of people who really think about what is Liberia, where is Liberia going, and what we need to do. And that is not an individual. Sometimes, sometimes the individual can take the lead, but we need people who are not hungry. People are not just looking for the strength of the people in the 1970s was that they were not looking for anything. Tipote was not looking for a job. He got fired. He didn't care. He did his susuku. Amos had his job at the University of Liberia. They tried to make him a member of the party, this and that. He said, no, I like my job. Drew Mason got fired 3-4 times. He didn't care. He still kept going. So we don't have those kind of people. Albert Port, who used to walk around with his toothbrush and his towel. Because I might sleep anywhere. I could sleep
Let me help you. Tuan Ray, Dr. John Smith.
Tuan Ray, yes. Tuan Ray, Marie Antoinette Sherman, all these people. People they were
and let me help you. Anthony Sieh, Mohammed Sharif, Dennis Jah.
They were not hungry for small things. They were not hungry for a car, a house, or you go to New York for 2 days to buy a few jeans and then come back. They were not hungry for those things. That's the difference.
Yeah. I saw one of our presidents, they were doing a measurement in New York. Instead of
going to Anthony, thank you.
That's for another day. Alice, what is the solution going forward?
So the solution is we need a patriotic Liberian, somebody with vision, somebody with a technical know-how to lead the country. And when to get to this point, we need to broaden our search. We should not limit ourselves to a particular Liberians. Like, some people will say, no, it has to be the country people. Congo ruled for X number of years. Well, that was then. And I bet if any Congo person come to power now, they're not going to do what somebody did in the past, because everybody's eyes open. This is a different era. So we need to open our eyes and search broadly so that we take the Liberians who are capable of leading Liberia instead of on certain group of people based on tribe or just limiting ourselves. I think that's the short thing I want to say. We have to broaden our search and take the best Liberian to lead Liberia. And we should hold them accountable. We should demand better from. What are they going to do? Have debates. If we have to go by democracy, you need to have debates so these people will tell you their plan. What are they going to do when they take over? How are you going to handle it? People need to ask questions. When you have somebody running for office, they will be skipping debates because they don't want to tell people what they're going to do. It's the buying pick from the bag. You don't know what it looks like.
Comrade, what is the solution? Another election? A Tuareg style of leadership? Or the people not taking no from answer that if you get in power, if you're not delivering, will stay in front of your dove mouth that you need to step down, or else you will not come out, you will stay in that house. Is that the kind of way we need it?
Right now, the people need to evoke Article 1 of the Constitution. All powers inherent in them, in the people. And the government should operate within in consonance with their happiness. If that is not happening, the people should invoke that right. It is their right. What is the regime going to do? What is the wealthy elite, the oligarchs, the autocrats, I should say. In fact, maybe they're oligarchs too, but for the most part, autocrats, what they're going to do in the president and around the president, they're going to pull out the police first, who will fire tear gas on the people, on peaceful protesters, hot water cannons and stuff like that, rubber bullets. And if they are pushed to the wall, they will fire live rounds. They are despicable in terms of how brutal, in terms of how they react to the forces of good. So that's the peaceful part of it. But when people try to suppress peaceful change, it then becomes difficult to try to suppress what's going to come after that. So I'm here to say that the solution right now, because this is an evolving thing, Anthony, this is evolving by the day. To me, it's evolving. So as a first step, the people need to stand up and evoke Article 1 of the Constitution. The people are not happy. And we're hearing these chatters. You heard what the former senator from Bond County said. This, is ignorant man said, he's going to come after anybody that talks about the president. Well, Mr. Johnson, I'm here. Please come on here and engage us. Please come over here and engage us. I invite anyone, the sycophants, those who disagree with me, who are going with the excesses of this administration, come on here and hold a debate with me. I am ready for a one-on-one debate, or all of them put together, all the sycophants put together. Anthony, if they can fit on your screen, all of them, they can come here. I challenge them to a debate on good governance and the issues that matter to the Liberian people. And I promise you, I will beat them. I will beat the sycophants. I will beat the bootlickers, the unpatriotic people that are robbing the Liberian nation state of the valuable resources that God gave to us. Can you imagine this ungodly thing? They always talk about, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a this and that. They go to Friday mass, Sunday they go to church. Other people go to the Baha'i temple and whatnot. We are the most religious people in Liberia that you can find maybe on earth. But we're not doing the religious things. We are so corrupt. We are so disingenuous. We trample on the rights of the common people, and we say we are godly. We are nothing but ungodly bunch of people sitting up there, corrupted by powers The trappings of power have blinded their vision. So, comrade, if you will, the people need to recognize that and stand up right now. God is with them. If nobody is with them, God is with them. And God sees them. God does not like corrupt people. God does not like evil. God does not support evil. And these people know that. And some of them who are in the leadership, they say they are bishops, they have churches and whatnot. I mean, you have a church. Do you have the audacity to stand in front of stand on the pulpit and spew the word of God? You are nothing but an ungodly bunch of people that are suppressing your own people, that are stealing your country's resources. And so down with you and your corrupt hands, and you shall answer this one day, if not now, but soon.
Thank you. And comrade, thank you, Dr. Doug, Alice, thank you. Spirited debate about the soul of our country, Liberia. The senator you mentioned, former senator of Bond County, I think the name is Sano Johnson, has been appointed by President Bouaka to be a liaison for the president of Liberia to the Liberian Senate, the House of Elders. President Bouaka has rescued this man and given him a job. He was senator. He left the Senate and he been passing around with no meaningful contribution to the country. President Bouaka felt for him and gave him an honorable responsibility to be his liaison. The first words that came from out of his mouth, if anybody dare insult the president, I will insult that person and the people behind that person. If President Bouaka is actually serious about being an example when it comes to leadership, if I were in Bouaka's shoe, I would fire that guy that very day he uttered that nonsense. The fact that President Bouaka has not acted, President Bouaka is telling us that that guy is speaking for me. This is your liaison.
Right.
I remember what Bouaka said. He said, look, criticize me. Bouaka's own words. Now let the people criticize me. And this guy is saying, when you insult the president, I will insult you and the people behind you.
Right.
As though this is what he was appointed to do.
It's getting under their skin. All of what we're doing is getting under their skin.
The debate has to come to an end, a meaningful debate about country. And to those who really might be like, these guys are dramatic, hey, you have to think again. Now, there's a child in West Point who have not seen anything meaningful. The school we show you in Riverside is still there. How you want to talk about that school in Riverside? Be diplomatic? Why we have bulletproof cars, 65,000, 100,000 cars. The president is firing people, suspending people for buying 45,000 cars, 100,000 cars, and he himself go and buy one more than that. And then that school is still there. Right. The one he took from Amin Moda, the president has that one. So what's the point of, pressuring Amin Moda to resign anyway? What's the point if the president is going to keep the car and the president is going to buy something more than that? And then we still have a school in Riverside that is still there. And you don't want us as citizens to talk to our president and our leaders that this is not a better way to do it? We will do that any day, any time, with no fear and no favor, because our pots, our bowls are not in the president's house. And even if our bowls were there, it's because he's president and we put him there as a country. On that note, we end the debate. Dr. Do, I can't tell you enough. Comrade Sherry, I thank you. Sister Alice, you brought flavor. And I want to see that fire coming anytime. The song says we are all Liberians, and that song is taking us home. And until we do that again, bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are Liberians.